we're live. It's week one. Come on. Sports gambling with Moneyline Monaco. Alex Monaco here. Throw up naturally. Caffeine to my side. President of the Under 6 Foot Club behind me. You know what to do if you're supporting. Please subscribe. Please rate. Please review. Shout me out. Follow the YouTube page, Moneyline Monaco. Wherever you get your podcast, Sports Gambling with Moneyline Monaco goes a long way. Excellent start. ATS dub Thursday night. Chiefs, Ravens. You heard the cap. We broke it down like a true marksman. But again, it's all about what you do next. Week one, tread lightly. Start the right side of the freeway. Then work your way to the fast lane. Shallow part of the pool. Tread water towards the deep end. We don't know. As much as we want to predict how some of these teams are going to come out week one, you just don't know. You see ticket splits versus money. You see trends from the past. You see situational spots, and you see a lot of turnover. You throw it all in a mixed bag. You do your best. We're looking for 3-2 ATS out the gate. 4-1 would be an absolute mitzvah. Let's get into it. We're going to be shorter here than longer. It's 2024, baby. Gotta get on with our weekends. Let's talk week one. I will pull up these spreads. Now, depending where you shop, this is a line shopping show. Wherever you can get the best number, the best price, all of it factors in. We kick things off with a game I don't like. We kick it off with a game I absolutely love. Now, this just happened in the playoffs. We just saw it. Emotional game of X's. Jared Goff used to be with McVay. Matty Staff used to be the king of Ford Field. They switched jerseys. One has a ring, one doesn't. Either way, both clubs likely playoff bound, playoff competitive. What I'll say about Vegas and their cap of the Rams before we start, this was a team, quite frankly, no one saw coming last year. Now, we don't see a 6.5 over-under win total for the Rams. This club's expected to win 9 games, potentially 10, could be the front runner in the AFC West to debunk the Niners. And again, this Niners club is going against some serious history in the NFC. We're talking about no one since the Legion of Boom, Bazooka, Bubblegum Chewing, Pete Carroll and the boys. Last team to go back-to-back NFC Championship banners, yet the Niners are still bannerless for the real one. I digress. Rams are on their heels. Haven't really had draft picks and assets and options when it comes to the offseason draft. For the last couple of years, post that Super Bowl win against the Bengals. They really went for it. They got it. You go out, you get Fisk, you get Verse. You make a couple of nice moves defensively. Tre'Davious White also in the mix. Lockdown corner's been banged up the last couple of years with the Bills. We see right now, depending where you shop, Rams plus 4.5. Here's what I can't get out of my head. Lions hosting. That 24-23 win, Lions, Rams, last round, last playoffs, first round. You know, that was a Lions came out the gate humming, scorching, 14 first quarter points. They end the game with 24 points. They had 3 points in the second half. Kyren Williams exited stage left with an injury in the middle of the second half. They didn't have a backup running back. Now you go out, you get Blake Corum, you prepare for disaster should, knock on wood, something disastrous like that happen again. We talk coach, we talk quarterback, we talk guys that can go out and win you a game at that position. I count on one hand 5 guys that can win you a game on their own in this league going into the 2024 football season. Matty Stafford is one of those guys. I am still not convinced Jared Goff can win you a football game on his own. Gunslinging Matty Ice, and I ain't talking Ryan. He's got the clutch gene. He certainly has the dog. And now we're talking about Puka and Kupp being one of the most vicious 1-2 punches in the game with a real running back in Kyren Williams. I'm not sitting here saying the Rams are going into Ford Field and winning this game. I'm just saying these are two top 5 against the spread covers from last year, and there is real conviction for me that a Rams team that I'm seeing at plus 4.5 right now, plus 4.5, can go out and cover this number. Team was 4-2 against the spread. 4-2 against the spread as a road dog last year. They were 5-3-1 against the spread as an underdog, period. I'm taking McVay's photographic memory. I'm banking on the fact that we got a little more tape on a Gibbs, on a Laporta, and a rapport here with this Lions club. That's excellent, but it's going against a couple of new pieces on the Rams line. Now, of course, AD, and we ain't talking Anthony Davis, Aaron Donald ain't in the mix. That's going to be a very, very difficult man, almost irreplaceable. He is. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's irreplaceable. But I'm taking right now a number in a beer pong rebuttal game spot. The Rams felt like they should have stole that game. Let's really remember what happened down the stretch after the scripted plays were over, halftime adjustments, real life football. Lions were lucky to come away with that win. Now, they're going to come out firing. They're going to come out dialed. There is nowhere more comfortable than Stafford at Ford Field on the road. Let me tell you, I'm taking the Rams plus 4.5. I do co-sign on 3.5. I see it right now, airing this on a Friday. Got to take it. Got to take it. Let's go gross. Let's go your least favorite ants cooking on a mandatory holiday. This is not for the weak-hearted. This is pack your Tums and some Pepto-Bismol disgusting. It is going to twist and turn your midsection. We are going into MetLife Stadium, where Sam Darnold in a green jersey used to bat under 500. I mean, the guy used to be on Broadway. Now he's off Broadway with flyers on 33rd and 6th, begging you to come to a show. We're talking about Sam Darnold on his third act, and he's really not even the start. There's no TJ Hawkinson. You got Justin Jefferson. That's fine. Aaron Jones' first game in a purple uniform. I got a lot of questions about this Minnesota defense. I know the New York Giants may only win 6 games. I got a couple of things from last year really, really need to hear. Do you know who the number 1 team in the NFL last year was in turnover differential? Ravens plus 12 were tied with one team last year in turnover differential. It's the New York Football Giants. And this I got from Shout Out Action Network, Evan Abrams, top of the biz, baby, when it comes to research. Brian Dable is the best cover of any coach, minimum 10 games with their club at 63% against the spread. Furthermore, same dude, same under the umbrella stat. It's hard to even fathom. Dable's got above 500 ATS with not 1, not 2, 4 quarterbacks. None of them are close to an 80 in Madden overall. Tyrod Taylor, Davis Webb, Danny DeVito. Hi, how are you? And Daniel Jones, Woody from Toy Story. 4 men above sea level when it comes to covering. We're getting 1.5 points at home. 1.5 points at home with a guy in Darnold who arguably has PTSD on this field. This dude does not win games. He is not a starting quarterback. We're talking about Kevin O'Connell. He's really going to coach this guy up with no premier TJ Hawkinson tight end, a new running back to establish, and bare minimum off-season continuity with Justin Jefferson. You're leading. We got to overcompensate, give him the rock because of the contract. Wide receiver, Danielle Hunter's gone. I'm looking at this defense and I'm not liking it. Meanwhile, you have Thibodeau and Burns. And doubling down when you look at this Giants depth chart on what they do well. And that is, to me, win the turnover battle and find a way to muck it up. I'm not sitting here saying Dexter Lawrence is a household name, but I'm not sitting here saying with Burns and Thibodeau on respective sides all rushing the quarterback at once with a B- guy like Sam Darnold at best isn't going to find a way to potentially make this a gross, disgusting game that goes in the favor of the Giants. Now, if you do follow my show on MSG, the better half hour, I talked about the New York Football Giants having a chance to outperform the market, at least against the spread, but potentially in the win-loss column because they had 3 back-to-back and even a back-to-back-to-back road, 4 outings on the road last season scheduling. This year, they have 1 back-to-back road outing start, and it's at Commanders, at Browns. Month 1, 2, and 3 of the season could be a lot worse. There is no look past next week over-the-shoulder game. It's only this game. Now, the Giants opened at a favorite. If you've been watching the lines, they have moved all the way from the Giants to a favorite to the Giants as a 1.5-point dog. They lose by 1, we still cover. I'm taking the New York Football Giants to win the turnover battle. Malik, I don't need any neighbors. I'm a lone wolf. Go out and make a play. This could be one of those games where the Giants force 2 turnovers. Malik Neighbors makes 1 play. Singletary rushes 15 times for a disgusting 63 yards. Daniel Jones only gets sacked 3 times, and the Giants win the football game. It's probably going Scuba Steve under. It's probably going to be gross. That's why we're bringing Tums. G-Men plus 1.5, ambulance outside of my New York City apartment, sold separately. Now let's go to a couple of favorites, a couple of divisional dances. I'm walking into it. I'll tell you right now, you want to fade me, you're on the sharp side. I'm on the public side. I can't do it. I'm okay with it. It's arguably a cardinal sin. You do not take a road divisional favorite, especially early on in the season. You just don't do it. Numbers historically are not on your side. Long-term, short-term, however you want to look at it. But I sit here and I look at the Houston Texans laying under a field goal and an Indianapolis bottom 5 defense from last year who's plugging and playing A-Rich, coming back, and I got questions about the Indianapolis Colts. I have questions about that defense. Now, CJ Stroud covering 4 of the last 5 games in the AFC South with no blemishes on his 2 games against the Colts record, 0 interceptions, throwing around 324 yards on average against Indy. All things I like. All elements I like. Now, just like the Giants, Texans with a real defense, shout out Will Anderson, go out, get better, get a couple of pieces, Hunter being one of them. And this club was plus 10 in the turnover differential department, in large part because CJ Stroud in the first 2 months of the season had 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. What I'm saying is this Houston Texans team, everyone wants to sit and wait for the sophomore slump, wait on their downfall. What if CJ Stroud comes out and just balls? Now, I went on the Bart and Hahn show. Shout out my boys, Alan Hahn, Bart Scott. Fridays, 2 o'clock Eastern, lunch money segment. I give out picks. We're in the black, in the green all year last year. Made some good points. Bart did about Stephon Diggs coming into the mix. This was a Tank Dell upside. Nico Collins out of nowhere. Dalton Schultz, very selfless offense. It was. Now you add Mixon. Now you add Diggs. But everyone's being negative or at least realistic, leaning pessimistic about this. We're not going to sit here and say that Diggs getting over 5,500 yards in the Bills uniform and Mixon being a solid staple and Cincy coming together on this team and maybe buying into the DeMeco Ryans way isn't going to be a plus for them. All they did was add pieces. This is one of those teams that I think we're expecting to maybe plateau a little rather than take the leap. I'm going to actually sit here and say the opposite, the Costanza opposite. I think this is a club that can go out week one and show you where they are in the division. They're chalk for a reason. The Jaguars are going to have to go into Miami just to compete week one in the standings. I think this is a statement moment for the Texans early on in the division. Now we got to lay 2.5, which I do not love, but this team was the 6th best run defense last year. What do the Colts do better than anything with a top 10 offensive line per PFF and Jonathan Taylor? They run the rock and ground and pound. Well, we have only 8 clubs under 100 yards rushing defensively. Last year, Texans were 6th ranked. I will swallow the 2.5, go against conventional wisdom, and take CJ. I am him Stroud. Let's go to an emotional purchase, and I don't love it, but I got to do it. If I don't do it, I'm going to knock myself. And I have an LA Chargers sweatshirt that still collects dust in my dressing room because I don't have the heart as a recovering San Diego Charger fan, born and raised San Diego kid, 858, not Reggie Bush 619, but all the same California burritos kid. I can't get over what Spanos did, but the past is the past. We got to move forward. I'm happy that they finally, not since the late, great Marty Schottenheimer, matched quarterback with coach. Finally, Herbert Harbaugh, alliteration, quarterback synergy, a real leader of men. I mean, when I tell you the Chargers lost 7 games last year, 4 by 3 points, 2 by 2 points, 1 by 1 point. How do you lose 2 games by 2 points? You have Brandon Staley as a non-leader of Gerald Butler, 300 men running stairs, Monday night primetime, trying to look good, trying to blend in. Never had a beat on the pulse in the room of this team. Flat out. You saw guys flopping. You saw guys not buying in. You saw a Chargers team that was situationally abysmal last season. One of the worst. All right. Gardner Minshew comes in to a Raiders locker room, and we're not quite sure what to expect. A lot of pressure on Pierce, locked in. Finally, do away, swipe left with the McDaniels. You want to talk about another non-leader of men. Stay a coordinator, brilliant play caller, not a leader. We'll see you, McDaniels. So finally, Raiders and Chargers get the coach and the leader right. Who shows up and shows out first? It's hard for me to sit here as a Charger fan and a Jim Harbaugh fan and not really remember what Jim Harbaugh was. Now, this might not mean nothing, but this is a guy that was 44-19 with San Francisco 49ers in the big leagues. This was a guy who had a top 10 turnover ratio defense and top half of the league yardage differential all 4 years in San Francisco. All top 10 in points defenses, all top 5 in yards defenses, all 4 years. What's ironic about that? He is an offensive quarterback from over the years and really started out on the offensive side of the football. Oh, by the way, full circle at University of San Diego. The reality is, in San Francisco, under Harbaugh, fewest interceptions in the league, Alex Smith, 3 straight years. He goes out, he gets familiarity because, yes, it's a new league now. It wasn't what it was when he was in San Francisco. So what did he go back and do? He went back to his roots. Both brother, shout out Harbaugh, couple of key pieces, Johnny, not Jimmy. And he went to getting a key offensive lineman piece and building inside out, because that is what you do when you're an adult in the National Football League and want to win long term. You find a way to protect your quarterback. This plantar fasciitis is no small feat. With Herbert, we got to keep an eye on it. I'm not concerned that Joshua Palmer and Quentin Johnston are the 1-2 pieces with Disley and Gus and J.K. Dobbins as the skill players. This team's going to do things in the LA Chargers SoFi Stadium that they've never done. Fundamentally sound football, winning the turnover possession and turnover differential and time of possession football, coaching up your quarterback, not trying to put Herbert in spots to go win games because he's not that guy yet, but letting him manage a orchestrated offense, and Harbaugh doesn't get flustered. The dude, and I'm not even making a joke about it, signs a record-breaking deal and sleeps in his RV voluntarily. You're in how many Michigan winners in a row you get to right down the street from Bear Flag on the 1 and right next to the Pelican Hill top-tier golf course, villa resort, and you stay in an RV. He's built differently. He is a true leader of men. And when I sit here and realize that Greg Roman, who has worked with Jim before, and John, is going to sit here and manage this offense while Harbaugh makes sure this defense does their side of things, look, we got a lot of questions about the Raiders. Brock Bowers has mysteriously been injured. He might not even be a go. I'm not saying this might not land right on 3, but it's an emotional purchase for me because I do believe this Chargers team, who set it over under 8.5 wins, is going to go out and steal this game. And steal this game on their home field where there'll be more silver and black in the stadium. Thank you, Spanos. Chargers -3. And we wrap up real quick because I want to talk about it more on Monday. But this 4.5 points here for the New York Jets is still there. And I'm imploring you to take it. I'm imploring you to sit here and realize that as bad as Aaron Rodgers' record is against San Francisco 49ers, 0-4 in the playoffs, he's got 2 times as many wins against them in the regular season than he does losses. I'm sitting here telling you, historically, the loser of the Super Bowl against the spread is an atrocious number. I'm sitting here telling you a top 2 passing defense in the New York Jets that shored up the worst part of their entire roster last year. Bottom 7 PFF ranked offensive line. Didn't get 1, didn't get 2, got 3 grown men. Moses, Simpson, don't call me Bart, and Tyron Smith, a huge staple of those great offensive lines in Dallas for years. That is to protect your quarterback. I said it on ESPN New York Radio. We're done with Rodgers, virtual poker, MySpace top 8 friends. I love Cobb. I like Lazard. Move down the depth chart or get out of the green, please, because we got Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, and a Breece healthy Hall ready to deck your hall, bubs. I'm just sitting here looking at a very unnecessarily dramatic John Lynch, Mike Shanahan offseason. Why didn't you pay Trent Williams and Ayuk earlier? Why were you flirting with it? Why were you trying to take the system better than 2 of your top 5 offensive pieces? Deebo Samuel's banged up, and Kittle might be a better blocker than he is a pass catcher. I'm sorry, I love the guy, but he is a blocking tight end with catching upside at this point in his career, and Deebo Samuel is injury prone. Ayuk and Williams were necessary purchases, and I don't really see this defense being as lights out as this defense has been in years past. There is a reason why no one has gone back-to-back in the NFC Championship since the Legion of Boom to the Super Bowl. And they too even split in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying Purdy is a game manager still with playmaker upside that I got to see again before I co-sign on it. I'm telling you right now, when teams on the road are around 60% getting points in week 1 of the last 20 years, and listen to this, losers of the Super Bowl since 2000, we got 24 Costco samples, 10-14 straight up, 5-19 against the spread. So you want to bank on a stale, rusty Aaron Rodgers? You go ahead. I'm going to back a big enough number for a smothering pass defense that has players in all 3 phases. Quentin Williams, CJ Mosley, and Sauce Gardner, baby. You think we're messing around? I'm telling you right now, the New York Jets might go in and steal that game. I'm telling you right now. And before they do, lock in 4.5. But my official picks For week 1, I'm taking the Rams plus 4.5 because I got them at the number right now. I'm taking the Giants plus 1.5. I'm swallowing the Texans minus 2.5 on the road. Could be a cardinal sin. We go down with it. And we could be walking into it too with the Chargers. But I am sitting here feeling in my gambling gut that this Chargers team is a Chargers team of old. That they got a real dude. And you can thank Connor Stallions for this one. You want to call Jim Harbaugh a cheater? He's going to come out and deck you in the skull, metaphorically speaking. So I'll take the Chargers minus 3 and the Jets plus 4.5. And I don't have a deep analysis on this one, but if I am going to take one more side as I graze the board, I got to do what history tells me to do. And I will take the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road plus 3.5 at Kirk non-primetime Cousins with I'm not sure how that Achilles is. He didn't have the same timetable as Aaron Rodgers to recover from that Achilles, by the way. Cousins is a cul-de-sac father of 3 who voluntarily tucks in his shirt on the weekends. I can guarantee it. I'd put $100 on it right now. Nice guy, player coach, a lot of kids on that offense. Pitts is a kid. Drake London's in his second year. Bijan's in his second year. Very good offensive line. Don't get me wrong. But I got questions about the Atlanta Falcons. I think they have a soft schedule. But you got the sacks leader in TJ Watt, 19 off the noggin from last year, coming in with a top 5 pass rush. Pissed off. Look, if it's Justin Fields, I got a little trepidation. If it's Russell Wilson, I think this game comes down to a possession, comes down to a field goal. We'll take the 3 and the Dustin Hoffman hook. That about does it. 5 picks, ATS with a 6th as a bonus if you need it for an official 5, because we're coming back Monday to talk out Jets, Niners, all things Monday Night Football. I'll have a couple of props as well. Little longer pod. That's your Friday spiel. Moneyline Monaco. You can check me out across MSG Networks, the better half hour. Sponsored by BetMGM. You can get that on national TV, the Fast Channel, Roku, Fubo, wherever you get any of MSG Networks all across the board. And your cable subscriptions, of course, MSG Plus, and soon to be Gotham Sports Group. Also, Moneyline Monaco across all social media. And please go to Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe, rate, review. We are on our own, so all of it means a ton. We appreciate you. And as always, don't forget to hug your mothers. Good luck, happy betting, gamble responsibly. We'll see you next week. Ta-ta, real smooth.